Well, thank you all very much. This is quite an evening. I've done a lot of things in my years, and this is at the top of the list. And I also look back and say I'm a long ways from that railroad boxcar that I started off in many years ago. I never felt prouder to be looking back at it as I am tonight. I want to take this opportunity before I begin to thank my 90-year-old father, Emmett, who couldn't be with us tonight, but he would sure love to be. This is a guy with a steady hand and an inspiring way about him. He has a way of making whatever I did seem like it was pretty special and unique. It's because of my dad and my grandfather that my wife, Kathy, who's here tonight, and it's kind of the boat that I kind of sail on, is very important in my life and very important in everything I've done. Because of my grandfather and dad, that Kathy and I have been pretty generous with charitable initiatives around the world. It's that example they set of caring and taking care of their neighbors. And their neighbors were in the same block around the corner. Our neighbors have come to be in Africa, in Rwanda, and all over the world. I was surprised, excuse my voice here a bit, I was surprised to be selected for this incredible honor, frankly, because I've been away from Illinois a lot. I've been away from everything a lot. I've been to 105 countries, just about every city in the world. And when you do that, you don't see a lot, but you're a lot of places. So when Edwardsville or Illinois calls me back and say they appreciate what I've done, it's a shock. I was even more surprised to be selected in the sports category, because I've had a 35 to 40-year business career that I'm very proud of. But as I think about it, sports played a big role in my life. To begin with, my first big break came when I left that boxcar at age 4. And Russ, you know that area pretty well. And it wasn't a happy sight to leave there. We loaded up in a truck and moved to Edwardsville, Illinois. And that was a major break. But the big break may have been when I picked up a basketball. Because that basketball in those racial times changed the way the world saw me. They saw me as a ball player, they saw me as a producer, someone who could help them. And because of that, I tried harder and harder, and I learned a lesson. If you work at something and do it well, you can be good at it. And I spent a lot of time working at basketball, and I transferred that to just about everything that I've done. This third big break may have been, though, even bigger than the basketball. At age 12, I read my first book. I'll never forget, the book was Snowbound by John Greenleaf Whittier. And reading that book started me to dream and to think about possibilities and what could be. And I became passionate about dreaming and aspiring and wanted to do more and more. But the book got me started. The book got me started. Those are 3 big turning points in my life. As I moved on through life, I made the decision to go to the University of Illinois, and that was an important move for me to make, because staying within the confines of Illinois allowed me to utilize the support systems and the people who've always been so good with me and for me. I had a teammate who's here tonight, by the way, Dave Downing, who told me, he said he had one regret. He said, for all the wealth and support he had bestowed on his children, the one regret that he had was that they could not experience his humble beginnings. And Dave, I thought about that a lot. And Candace and Cassandra, my 2 daughters, are here tonight. I had that regret in addition to, some of you will recognize this, the 30-something years, 35 years, I traveled endlessly. I didn't get the chance to raise the kids in the way that I thought a father should have raised their kids. I love them from a distance. But I had this wonderful wife that took care of that side of the equation. And I say to Candace and Cassie, I wish you could have experienced the boxcar. I wish you could have experienced the love that a father should give being there every night. But I will tell you, I love you dearly. And I appreciate you being great kids. Now, because of my ambition and because of my age, a lot of my life has been about being first. My good friend Governor Vaughn and I were the first to attend the newly integrated schools in Edwardsville. We went on to be the first basketball players at University of Illinois as African Americans. And because we took our academics seriously, we were the first to graduate on time, on schedule, as basketball players out of that program. After about 4 or 5 years of professional basketball, I realized that life was a bit more complex than just shooting a basketball and being able to dunk occasionally. And I decided I should get out of there and start moving into another line of work. And that's when I started attending university. I went to Wharton, University of Detroit, University of South Florida, and I began to try to bridge the gap between being an athlete and a sports obsession and becoming a business person. And that took some adjustments. I tackled a challenging business career. I became the first corporate officer and black president and general manager of a business unit at Honeywell. I later decided to buy the Harlem Globetrotters you heard of tonight. I reflect on all this to make a point that these first happened because of Brown versus Board of Education, Executive Order 11246, and the natural progression of democracy. The world around me changed. I didn't change. The world around me changed. And I guess I can say I was blessed by God to have these things happen for me. In 1995, a turning point in my life, I returned back to South Africa to help the ANC raise money and to help my friend Nelson Mandela. It was then for the first time I realized more clearly than ever that leverage is provided by idealism or ideology, education, and wealth. And more important than that, leadership. In so many ways, I could see in South Africa what my life had looked like 30, 40 years earlier. Soweto, Alexandria, Cape Town, and Joburg looked a lot like Ilmo, Missouri, Forenfeld, East St. Louis, places I'd been raised. I also could tell that within those children in South Africa, there was the hope to move from those situations, the hope to move out of that situation and build a better country. In the book I'm writing, Boxcars to Boardrooms, I discuss this realization and also discuss the idea of what I learned, and that is that this idyllic environment we're in today is both socially, politically, and economically very fragile. And it's all of our responsibilities to take it serious and begin to protect it. Because I've seen around the world economies and social systems come loose. And when they come loose, it's hard to put them back together again. And we have a great system here. Another son of Illinois sits in the Oval Office today, and I remember that it wasn't too many years ago in the southern part of this state, we couldn't attend public restaurants, couldn't attend the public schools, and I know how quickly that event has changed. And when I speak of change, I remember Abe Lincoln, who, believe it or not, was one of my idols. Because here was a person who had the energy and the guts to do something different. He spoke once in Springfield, Illinois, about change, about democracy. He talked about democracy being a process and not a goal. When he said that, he said, as a nation of free men, we must live through all times. And I interpret that to say there will be ups and downs in this process we're going through with democracy. We've got to live through that. He went on to say that the road to perfection, I think he viewed democracy as perfection. It's most often slow and always uneven. Now, when I was touring with the Harlem Globetrotters, and the last story I'll tell you, I was in Warsaw, Poland. And I was 23 years old, and I was very indifferent to democracy and, frankly, this country. But I was sitting with 12 young communist students in an old rustic barn on the outside of Warsaw. We were talking about the merits of democracy. They were talking about Bull Connors and Selma, Alabama, and they wondered how I could be supporting democracy with that kind of treatment of my people back in this country. At about 11 o'clock that night, I got tired of the discussion. I stood up and I said, you know, this is my country. I believe in America. I believe in America I have a chance to be great. And I believe in America I have a chance to make a contribution. As I was walking through the hallway tonight here, it occurred to me, I wish those 12 communist students could see me tonight. This is a wonderful way to be recognized for contributions. And I thank you, the Academy, and I thank my wife, Kathy, and my daughters, Cassandra and Candace, for supporting me. I'm out of that old farmhouse. I'm out of that boxcar in Ilmo, and I'm standing here still believing that I can make a difference. And I still believe this is my state, the state of Illinois. Thank you very much.